Just get the car mobile, get it back out there so you don't lose laps. See, that inner fender is completely down on the tire, though.
You can hear the crew members saying, get him out, get him back in again. They don't want to get behind the pace car.
The officials are maybe seeing something they don't want the car to be released with. Now they go. Oh, they missed it. They missed it. Critical delay right there. See the field just streaming by this front straightaway in the background.
That hurt because now, even with a caution, you're starting down a lap. Very tough to make that up. And in their haste to get him out, apparently missed something. So now the crew's just going to go back to work. Try and get that body work and fender liner freed up. So this is going to be a little bit of a longish caution, we would suspect. We're going to take advantage of it. We're going to step away for just a moment from Lime Rock Park. We'll be right back. So stay with us. You can see the resignation there as we come back with you on the web of the crew. Guy that was working on that right front corner finally just sat back on his heels and realized something's a little bit deeper inside there that is going to be a problem, and looks like their day may be done. Yep, Stephen McAleer climbing out. And that's unfortunate for everybody here watching, and certainly for us, not just for the issues for the team, but watching Stephen McAleer work through the field could have been a pretty good show.
Yeah, this could have been a great show for this team. So disappointment right there. One of our fancied teams. But getting back to our pole sitter, did a great job so far this weekend, but there's a lot more experience stacked up against him. He's running solo, so there's not been a switch. He started both races, and it was the AMs who qualified and started race one as the pros who finished race one and start race two. So right behind him, he's got a ton of experience, going to be hot on his heels.
Yeah, and I talked to him just before the race, happened to run into him, and he said, man, these 60-minute races, he said, I'm exhausted. He said, I really had to just calm down and relax for a little bit and get ready for this one. He said, I'm pumped, but he said, I was feeling it after that one. So that's something that's all part of the program when you're running it solo. Unfortunately, it's not Marco Solo. Now, that's good. Fortunately, it isn't anywhere near Saturday hot here, hot and humid, so that's going to help a little bit.
Yeah, very different conditions, a lot of cloud cover. Track should be in great shape, should be really quick. No tire changes during the mandatory pit stop for GTS in Sprint X format.
It's going to be interesting to find out from the ST Racing team, obviously, where they were able to borrow a car from Classic BMW, but even though it's the same brand, same model, it doesn't mean it's set up the same. It doesn't mean it's prepped quite the same. These drivers are going to have to really be careful, I think, in the early going, really just to see what they've got.
Yeah, just feeling out the racetrack, and particularly for that 36 entry, is a totally different race car to the one they have been running all weekend long.
Here's the rest of the field. There's the number 2 of Jason Bell. You'll notice the different colors on it. If you've been watching us earlier in the season, he started the season with M1 GT, and they're silver and red, and now he's got a black and yellow scheme on the car, and it's also being run out of the Global Motorsports Group tent here this weekend, which has that team fairly busy with 3 Audis in GTS now.
Yes, yeah, very much so, but Jason just trying to find the rhythm of the season and making a mid-season switch to a different team. And hopefully after this one they'll have a chance to get a bit of testing into their belt and regroup a bit more. Quick change from the previous race only 8 days ago.
There you see the lone McLaren in the field, the 570S in the hands of Paul Holton. At this stage, he'll turn it over to Ray Mason, and it's run out of Compass Racing. It's an absolutely great program, and also you see Rubric on the car, as well as always Race Day Foundation, very special charity near and dear to their hearts.
expect to see the pros stay in the car to extend this first stint out to the end of that pit stop window. So with your fast guy in, or fast girl in, whichever the case may be, let them have the most seat time and build the biggest cushion that they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, they're actually sending him through just on this caution, the climbing S, not the traditional layout, so that they can let all those EVs have some clear space and not worry about traffic bearing down on them. And speaking of traffic bearing down on you, El Gahanian, looking at that scoring monitor, and you see behind him Eversley, Braun, James, Staveley, Marcelli, Safronis, Buford. He's got his work cut out.
Yeah, he does. I'm sure he's totally aware of that, but I think the aggression upon him will be a little bit more intense than he experienced in race 1.
Welcome back, everybody. We continue under caution, and we show you, first of all, nice to have the fan point out, our Optima Batteries Best Start Award winner, the number 78, Paul Holton, up 9 spots in that Compass Racing McLaren, and that's why he caught the eye of the camera just a little bit earlier as well. Just a remarkable run in those opening laps. We've seen that kind of start from him before, no question. And as you take a little bit farther back, there he is. Another good look at it here. He's working his way around, but at the top of the show, Pilar was talking about what had unfolded with the ST Racing number 36 car and Aurora Straus, who was involved in a pretty big incident in that first race. And Cal, you talked about it, only 3.5 hours to get things turned around. Well, the damage to the car was too severe, and they found, with the help of Classic BMW, the car just going out of your frame right there, the number 36, Classic BMW said, yes, we've got a vehicle, we'll turn it over to you. And the question is, well, what kind of car do they have? We'll be finding that as the race unfolds. But when you ask about what kind of driver was behind the wheel, she's a special one. Here's more.
So I started playing piano when I was 5. I was trained classically for a couple of years. I refer to racing actually as my second love and music as my first, but the moment I went over 100 miles an hour, that was it for me. One of my biggest issues in the car is I wasn't looking far enough ahead, and I was so focused on shifting as quickly as possible that I was constantly staring down at all of the stuff in front of me. It literally came down to like, okay, I'm going to hum C# in my helmet. And the second that the engine of the car hits C# in 3rd gear, I'm going to shift from 3rd to 4th. It is an instrument to me. You need to tune it really specifically. You have to be gentle with it. You need to understand the feedback that it's giving you. You need to listen to it in the same way that you need to listen to your instrument and respond to it effectively.
That's phenomenal, like the vibrating string of a piano chord or a guitar. The harmonic of the engine, she can pick that out when you have perfect pitch like that, because you can make stuff happen like that. That's impressive.
She's a very cool young lady. Call her a gem because she's now associated with Tiffany's.
Very, very nice. And also, I think she was accepted to start at Harvard this year and decided to defer and asked them for a deferment, and they said sure, so she could just work on her racing this year. So it's a pretty bright young lady behind the wheel of that number 36, and she's doing a nice job when you consider that with a car she's not very familiar with, she was able to get in front of no less a talent than her teammate in the other car, Nick Whitmer, at the start of this race, who also was coming up from the back, but he hasn't been able to get around her yet. That speaks volumes.
Yep. And you get thrown these challenges throughout the course of your driving career, and to switch to a different car and say we're going green here within 2 kind of formation laps of getting to know this new machine, that is a huge challenge, and she's up for it, and I think this reset will be good. car will feel a little bit different just in the creature comforts inside the cockpit. Certainly how it drives will be different, but this has given her a chance with this early caution to just reset, regroup, and just try and get dialed into this new race car.
And of course, we've talked about what unfolded here a little bit earlier today. Normally, it's the previous day when we show you race 1 highlights of the doubleheader weekend. Here, it was just 3.5 hours ago. But let's go back and take a look at what unfolded in round 5 of the GTS-X Championship. The drivers obviously all psyching up, getting last bits of advice from legends in the sport. And at the start, there he is, Nikolai Elgahanian, first ever race in the pole. But right behind him going to turn 1, big mess.
Yeah, there really was. You can see the number 1 car, Andy Pilgrim, gets turned around by the 54 machine of Mark Pavin. Chaos ensues there. A lot of damage to the race cars.
Then a side balance comes off of the number 1 Camaro. They said it did upset the car just a little bit. You can see where it's missing right underneath the door. What wasn't missing was some great racing and some beautiful driving, particularly from Maurice Krantz.
Yeah, he had the lead, and Elgahanian put the pressure on, and eventually you see further battling in the pack here. Matt Fastnat making a move on Gottsacker.
And then this incredible run, corner after corner after corner, 5 full corners before Ian James made the pass stick on Shane Lewis, and it was 2 drivers that were absolutely in lockstep. And then this team, rookie team 2, perfect stop.
Absolutely, just beyond the 62-second delta. They got it right, but late in the going, major drama here.
Yeah, then in the car was Justin Shimshak, and he was able to see an opening. Wasn't really there. Both of the cars off. That was Aurora, what happened to her car. And unfortunately for Shimshak and Matt Fastnat, that car unrepairable, had to miss this round of the championship. And at the end, they couldn't get it cleaned up quite in time, so it finished under a full course caution. And winning the Pro-Am category was the number 55 PF Racing Mustang, with Jay Buford bringing it home. Patrick Gallagher started the car.
Yeah, really a tribute to Scott Maxwell, Buford's regular driver who lost his father in this past week.
And the emotion was also evident here, as there's young Mr. Elgahanian, obviously pretty moved by what this team did for him and what he was able to do in that car in his first ever Pirelli World Championship race. Just a great story.
Yeah, it's been some great stories this weekend, and they're still evolving here with 45 minutes left to go here as the cleanup continues.
Obviously, part of the issue is there's a fair amount of fluid down on the track, so they're working on getting that cleaned up. So we're going to take this opportunity to step away once again. We will be back with you as soon as possible. Yeah. Well, the pace of the BMW M4 CS has picked up. We're anticipating going green, lights out. Just want to remind you that you can follow all the news of the Pirelli World Challenge by downloading the new Fan app. Go to the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and search for the new PWC Fan app and start getting in deep. And you can also follow along on many other social media platforms. On Facebook, just search for the PWC Championship. On Twitter, just search for @WC Racing. And on Instagram, 2 opportunities, hashtag Pirelli WC or hashtag Pirelli World Challenge. And for all things Pirelli World Challenge, always go online to the series website, world-challenge.com. We are getting ready to go, and Nicholas Elgahanian, once again, is going to have to hold off a fleet of very, very talented drivers behind him. He's proving to be very talented himself. But down the hill we go, Cal.
Looking at the clock, the pit stop window has been moved to 30 to 40 minutes into this race. It'll be 5 minutes or 3.5 minutes before we see that open. Get ready for green.
Here we go, and it flies. And Nikolai Elgahanian moving over to protect. And he's done that a couple of times, and he ends up floating it a little bit wide, popping to the outside. And now Preston Calvert, something going wrong on the downhill, coming to green, and you can see the damage to the car. And he is sitting over there.
Sometimes there's just that concertina effect with everyone stacking up for the restart, middle of the pack there. Ian James's teammate trying to make some moves. They're up in the top 5. Colin Brown under attack.
Yeah, Jason Hart doing a superb job in the number 47. That's one of the Porsches, as we see Frank Gannett in the number 24 Ian Lacey Racing entry, and the number 54, that's Mark Pavenoff in the Sin R1. And there is, well, I'll tell you, Preston did get into things, but somehow got it going. He may have just preserved green flag racing, Cal.
Yeah, it's going to be critical here as they now come through to that downhill section. Is there any debris on that race circuit through that corner? Oh, Eversley there, look to the inside on Nikolai.
Nikolai was able to deal with it, and oh, look at this now. Jason Hart to the outside of Colin Brown. 3 abreast now, down into 1.
Colin there really pushed the brakes really deep into the corner, tries to get to the flank of Ryan Eversley. The 2 Audis going hard at it. Ian James trying to take advantage of the situation in the painthouse. Can he move that car up to 4th?
Yeah,
made a similar move on Gar Robinson in the opening round here. Nice job, Ian James. Oh, Nikolai really wide coming off.
Boy, Ian, that's twice. Well, he knows it works. He's going to give it a go a few times here. And Staveley now under attack as well. They work up the hill.
It is go time right now, about 2 minutes before that pit stop window opens, but I think all of the pros will try and stay in the car for as long as they can.
That car right behind Staveley is the Pfaff Porsche that is running right now. Kyle Marcelli, of course, a very talented driver, teams with Ori Fidani. He's having a good run. And look at Eversley, wherever Elgahanian's going. Eversley's trying to draft by now. Going to try the deep move around the outside. Elgahanian door to door with one of the best. See what happens here. Oh. And Elgahanian eases ahead.
He does. Didn't give him a car width there. Ryan recognized it, had to get out of the throttle a little bit and tuck back in. Otherwise, there's going to be contact. So good heads-up driving there by Ryan Eversley. Recognize he's not raced against this man before, really, so he's just trying to feel him out.
Working their way through No Name Straight into the climbing turn. Eversley right there. Brown just a couple of car lengths adrift. Then Ian James.
Nikolai always seems to run a slightly wider line through there. Really doesn't get up on towards the curb and apex, but still gets it done. Doesn't really lose any speed by running that line. Brown now under attack from Ian James.
Nikolai understands the concept of protecting and not blocking. Makes that move first, but watch now, the over-under maybe, Cal?
Possibly, he's got to try and time it, but Nikolai doesn't open up the door. I'll tell you what, this young man is showing good racecraft here. Our early days of watching him, Greg, but very impressed so far.
Well, he learns. You know, the first time he went way down the inside, he went way wide, lost a spot. Second time, he still went a little wide, and that time, no, he shut the door. It was beautiful.
We said at this racetrack, you have to work someone over. Sometimes it will take you 2 or 3 laps, 2 or 3, 4, 5 corners, as we saw earlier today, to get a move done.
Oh, love that sound. You can hear the tires working.
They're crying up over that hill,
sure
searching for grip. And they're going to be digging deep, trying to wring every ounce of speed out of these cars. Pit stop should have... The lane should open at any time right now as we hit the 30-minute mark. People could dive in if they wanted to.
So pit lane has opened. None of that group up front making the move as you would expect. You talked about it, keeping the pros in, the fast guys in. Let's take a look at what happened to Preston Calvert here. Wow.
That's almost before he turned in. I just have to wonder if it just got stacked up and he got out on wet grass, Greg.
Yep. Had to juke to the left to avoid somebody. Possibly, yep. I'll tell you, Alcohanian right now. And that car, light, we've talked about it. It takes that car a little longer to get the tires back up to temp.
Fastest lap of the day so far. Doesn't give you much normally in race one. Well, it is in race one. It'll give you a pole position. Right now it's just bragging rights. Pole position gives you bonus points. Fastest laps do not. He's looking for the clean sweep.
But it does show you that now that car seems to be back up to speed. And here we go. Hart, first taker.
Looks like Buford is coming in too. Look at the time on the board. They've now got just under 9 minutes to get that pit stop done. So basically they just moved the whole 10-minute window by 5 minutes to account for the yellow flag that we were under for so long.
You got to believe possibly that Buford's thought on that was, let's get in. By the time we get done with the stop, maybe we can get Patrick Gallagher out and he'll have a lot more clear track.
Yeah, that's the question, is how you come out. You just don't want to be buried in traffic after you've made that stop. If you find some clean air, that can really change your race.
And with Hart making that big move in, there's a pretty good gap now from James in fourth back to the number 12 of Staveley, who's up into fifth, running second in the M category to our overall leader, Elgahanian. Then in sixth, it is the 13 Pfaff Porsche as Staveley makes the move into the pits. He's doing it solo as well.
Yeah, and at these sort of speeds around this racetrack, the 62-second minimum pit lane delta time you have to spend on pit lane, including the stop, means you're going to go down a lap and a half, essentially. Look at Eversley just trying to find a way through.
Well, and obviously, if he can get through and run a little bit quicker, if he's leading at the time both make the stops, and he's pretty confident that Flying Lizard team can get that stop done well. That could put him out in front once again. But, boy, I'll tell you, that Marco Polo team, they nailed the stop in that first race.
They really did. Just a few tenths over the minimum 62-second delta. Ryan Eversley ran here earlier this weekend in TCR competition. He's the leader in that championship class. Took a victory in round one. Very strong weekend for him.
Still Colin Brown sitting in third. James in fourth in the Panos. Here's the number 45, Mike Hedlund. Oh, and a problem, Cal.
There's a little bit of damage there to the rim. It looks like he's had a little bit of a brush with someone. So they'd probably be allowed to change this, I would think, under the regulations. In terms of any damage to the tire, they could say essentially there could be damage. I'm surprised they didn't just throw a new tire at it. It's the right rear, which isn't really the loaded tire. You could put that a fresh one on there. It shouldn't hurt the performance even on your out laps, because you're really just loading the left side tires around this race circuit other than one corner.
I wonder if he just surprised them and ducked into the pits with that and they didn't have it ready and said, well, at least we can clear the stuff that might cut it off of the wheel itself.
Probably just noticed it as the car was stationary and weren't set up to do it and lose any time.
And again, Eversley doing everything he can to figure out a way by, getting him to get to the inside, looking for that over-under, and again, Elgahanian doesn't leave enough room to make it clean.
Kind of overslowed the car there a little bit. I think he recognized that the car was going to slide on him, so he just kept on the brake pedal a little bit longer. That allowed Ryan to close, but he still opened up the door a little bit, just cracked it open, but not all the way.
And you can always try as the pursuing driver to stick your foot in the door, but that tends to get the attention.
There. Oh,
yeah.
Elgahanian really wide. They're even wider than his normal line. Colin Brown, similar deal there. It's like an oval, though. There's different lines through that corner, essentially a bull ring racetrack.
Well, is he driving one that he thinks with all of the moisture from that crash and all the oil dried down there that the line might be able to clear? He heads to the pits.
Dives for pit lane. His team this morning just said we want a clear pit lane. We don't want to be stymied in any way. And boy, oh boy, did they execute it to perfection earlier in the day. I think it was a 62.4 or 62.6 second stop.
Yeah, it was just a tick off being absolutely perfect, and that's impressive. And you want to err on at least giving yourself enough time.
Hammer time, though, for Ryan Eversley.
Yes. He's
got to do that overcut here and lay down some fast laps. They'll probably keep him out there right until the point he hits traffic and then dive in and put his teammate Adam Mers on in. So these are critical laps here for Ryan Eversley. His fastest lap of the day so far is the 54.7. Excuse me, 54.3. Eversley does have the fastest lap of the race now.
That's exactly what he wanted. Free range to maybe try and build enough up. If they can nail this stop.
He is pushing hard. You can see dropping wheels everywhere. 54.9 on that lap. Brown a 55.0 behind him. James similar times. Marcelli similar times.
El Gahanian a stop at 63.4, so a little slower than the stop in the first race. Still not bad.
Not going to hurt them. The key is going to be his out laps. Is he in traffic? Eversley's had clear laps. But then it's going to be the task of Adam Merzon to try and hang on to the lead if Eversley turns it over to him with that lead.
Yeah, and if there's a team in this paddock that you're pretty confident in executing a great stop, it's the Flying Lizard Boys.
They have so much experience here, won so many races over the years. I think they're close to 10 victories here at this racetrack. Very rare that they don't win a race.
Exactly.
And they're competing here. James is in. No, excuse me, Colin Brown is in. James stays out.
So he will be turning over, Colin Brown will, to George Kurtz, the defending GTS champion, I should say.
Okay, this is the critical time here. He cannot afford to lose any ground here. See if he can clear this PF Racing Mustang quickly.
And that should be James has to get in that car right now.
Gets inside him.
Nice.
Probably can do 2.5 more laps. Will he stretch it? Again, he's got great pace, so probably going to roll the dice here a little bit, I would think, and stretch it out.
Is this a problem?
No, I don't think you lose basically a lap and a bit, Greg, by staying with a pit stop here. So they should be releasing him any time now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And again, when you do the stops, even though you're even the teams that aren't doing a driver change.
64.4.
So not bad.
Yeah, it's weird when you see cars going by. You lose a lap and a half, so they're going to come by past the pit lane, and you're still waiting to be released.
So now Kurtz try and get up to it. No tire change, so at least you get the benefit of still fairly warm tires.
How far will they push it for Flying Lizard and keeping Ryan Eversley out on the racetrack? Just trying to build up margin as much as they can. They can go one more if they chose to. Will they play it safe? No, he ducks in. Now Jim Bell, the engineer there, and the team just have to execute this pit stop and get Adam Merzon out there quickly. But not too quick.
Yeah, exactly. We will be watching that time for you. Kyle Marcelli handed over to Fidani with a good stop, 64 seconds even. They were up near the front.
Stop for the number 3 squad. Amos and Mueller, 62.6, 62.4 for Headland. So Flying Lizard had done one good stop. Can they get another one done?
That's some good motivation. You know, one crewman over the wall that helps solely with the driver change, can't do anything else. The other crewmen are basically just checking tire pressures, making an adjustment if they want to.
Driver change was probably time, but I don't think it was going exactly to plan.
Oh, problem. Well, looks like they may have gotten away with that, even though it's...
Sure the safety net went up, but see what happens here.
Yeah.
65.4, yeah, so not a great stop. A little bit of a fumble there on the driver change was going on.
And there is your leader at 71.
Yep.
Boy, I'll tell you, they have just been impressive, that team. You have to wait and look at the margin.
Yep.
It's good enough.
But a good, clean pit stop, it would have been a lot tighter.
Absolutely.
Maybe would have kept the lead, maybe not, but either way, it would have been a lot tighter than it is right now.
And then coming up behind them is going to be the number 04 of George Kurtz.
James is taken, last guy to pit from the lead.
See what kind of time he...
Returning it over to Matt Keegan. Should be able to maintain the charge here for the Panos Avezzano Coming up on 60 seconds for Ian James in pit lane and the car. See how tight they can cut it. 64.1. Call that average. Give that a B. What do you think?
Absolutely. I'd say that was a B stop. Absolutely. So right now, with that stop, we should see Mr. El-Ghahanian into the lead.
50 car a second, I think. I think he split El-Ghahanian and Mirzan. When things shuffles out here, we may see Matt Keegan.
Let's watch for him here. Here comes El-Ghahanian up the hill, and now in second. Boy, look at the margin that El-Ghahanian has. It is Matt Keegan sits in the second spot. So, who can run down the rookie team that has been running up at the front? Well, we'll find out when we come back to Lime Rock. Now back with you here on the web. Obviously that cleanup took a lot of time. We were thinking, oh boy, as we say that, the Windward Racing entry, the second NOLA car. Was that Kurtz? No, Hedlund. And he's got damage to the left front.
I'll get through there.
Well, he was exercising some brilliant caution. Gallagher was coming down that hill. As soon as he realized he was okay, he just took off. That's a shame. Hedlund, obviously one of the guys who has been a factor in the AM championship here this year.
Yeah, very much so. Still hurt his championship charge a little bit. Car's 50% in the race though, so he will score points, which is certainly crucial in the championship season. Can't afford those zero scores.
Absolutely. And after the team had just nailed that stop for him. Ooh, real wide run there by Adam Mirzan. And under attack now by Drew Staveley. We're going to pause. We'll be back with our CBS Sports Show. Welcome back. A change as the number 12 and Drew Staveley has moved his way around and picked up second overall, passing passing Ryan. Let me try it again. Passing Adam Mirzan, who took over from Ryan Eversley. And that was the pass for the third spot. So a good move there. In Staveley's lap times, there you see Keegan and the Panos up in front. And Staveley's running some incredibly quick times. And we'll see if he's able to run him down. But one of the big stories right before we had the pit stop window was the strategy and pace of Ryan Eversley. He's now out of the car, and Pilar's found him.
Yes, I am here with Ryan. Ryan, you ran an incredibly fast lap. What was your strategy to get some finesse going in this track?
You know, I got a little bit of pent-up anger from the touring car race, too, the other day, so I kind of let that out, I think, today in the Audi. But, no, the car is really good. The Lizards team really did a good job of getting us set up for this track. It's a unique track. It's very high speed, but it's all right-hand turns except for one. So we basically set it up like a stock car to go the other way, and it's a rocket ship. I mean, we were running away from everybody. If we didn't have that yellow at the start, I think we would have been pretty good. But, again, thanks to K-Sit and Adam Mirzan and obviously Flying Lizard, our car's a rocket. It's flying.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Best of luck out there.
My minder.
It's a Flying Lizard.
It is. And, Adam Mirzan right now doing everything he can, although he just had Matt Travis sneak by, and that should be for fifth as they come by at this stage. And closing now, he's got George Kurtz behind him, and behind Kurtz, this is part of the big story here, is Alex Welch in the number 14 Global Motorsports Group Audi, and that is the car of one of the absolute front runners in this championship. Yeah,
and this is going to be key. We talked about our championship. Contact there between Kurtz and Mirzan. Walsh has to take evasive action, and tell you what, Pilgrim's going to pick up a ton of ground here. So you see Tony Gaples go through as well.
Boy, that was big. You're right for Pilgrim and Machenbach.
Alex Welch does a nice job of taking evasive action, but look at this. You can see both the Black Dog Speed Shop Camaros take advantage of this contact here.
Kurt's able to gather it up, and get going again. We saw it right after the incident had happened. You would suspect there may have been a touch. We didn't necessarily see anything. Harry Gottsager in the sin, trying to carry some speed through the downhill. There's the number 32. That's the NOLA Sport entry of Jensen. Looks like he may have parked it.
Kurt's just trying to get back into a groove here. Gottsager trying to take advantage. But this is an area of the race that we've seen today. You can run side by side, but you've got to give each other a little bit of racing room. Obviously, there was some contact, cars spinning around, costing them valuable positions today.
Yeah, behind Kurtz now is Toby Grahovic in the BMW. That is he's got an awful lot of skills behind the wheel as well. They're a little bit hungry, I think. They ended up at the end of that first race, he and Chris Omock, a lot farther back than they wanted to be.
And they came into the day really well positioned in the championships, so not a great day. Here at John Miller, 14th, and nice run here from the back of the pack for Aurora Straus, who despite the problems in the opening round, maintains the lead in the AM Class Championship. But it's damage control, getting that car from Classic BMW, and doing a great job with it.
Boy, and Mueller there in the Epic Racing BMW just laid a nice pass on Toby Grahovic in that Chow Racing EFT Global Classic BMW.
Three cars been strong here.
It sure has. Good run in that first race, right up near the sharp end of things for much of it.
Love you can hear the engine note flare as you crest that hill and the tires get light. This racetrack just keeps coming at you. Such high intensity is like throwing yourself in a blender and turning it on high speed.
And you get that great audio back there. The view is awesome. Yeah, the view from the climbing turn is priceless. Actually, I know that's not true. There are a few prices out there this weekend. But it is spectacular. Boy, and I'll tell you what, Harry Gottsager has found some speed here.
Running in the 10th position behind Tony Gaples. Big day, though, for Lawson Ascherbach and Andy Pilgrim in terms of rebounding from the earlier disappointing performance, getting knocked around in turn one. And now up into the top 6. This is what you have to do on a bad day, is regroup. You go into damage control in the points.
So look, there is that Krantz now back behind the wheel of the 21 Mueller car, and he has been spectacularly quick this weekend.
Yeah, very impressive young driver. There's a lot of rounds of the VLN in the Nürburgring.
You know, really, that's when you think about what's going on with the number 1 Black Dog car. They had that involved in that incident in the first race. And as you said, you regroup, and when you've got drivers of the experience level of an Andy Pilgrim and certainly Lawson Ascherbach, a 5-time champion, they understand there's no sense getting all worked up about it. Just focus, get on with the job, and if you have opportunity in the race and when a couple of cars touch in front of you and spin, you know, you pick up a few more spots, and suddenly they're knocking on the door of the top 5.
Yeah, it's a great team, just great chemistry. They've been working together for so long. It was their 25th victory as a team at CTMP. Ray Sorensen leads that group with some great mechanics, and they've been together for a long, long time. And they're calm, cool, and collected. They always think about the big picture, even though Lawson always wants to win every race, of course. That's his mentality, and that's why he's a champion.
Which begs the question, if for the people that were watching at CTMP and they watched Lawson absolutely dominate both of the races, they come here struggling to be in raw pace in the top 15. Why is that? What changes?
Well, I mean, there's some BOP adjustments throughout the field on every weekend, depending on the track configuration and just adjustments in general. And then you come to a racetrack like this. I mean, the Camaro does not have a lot of downforce like some of the other cars in the field. And you get high, long duration corners like you see at CTMP, and we see here for a couple of the spots on the track. The car is good there, but through this real twisty stuff, it's not going to perform like some of the other cars. So it's just the ebb and flow of a championship season. You can't have the top horse for every circuit that you compete on, and it's all about the balance throughout the course of the year.
What about gearing? Does that have anything to
Yeah, certainly.
to
You can
do
have
with it?
just a particular corner. I mean, it's not like you're changing the individual gear ratios like you do in a true race transmission. And you're kind of stuck sometimes between two gears, and you just can't find the sweet spot. And that could be 2 or 3 tenths. 2 or 3 tenths around here is a number of positions on the grid.
Boy, and this battle for second is heating up. We thought it might be the way Staveley was running, and he's finally run down the number 50 of Keegan. And I've also been keeping an eye on Alex Welch, who is closing in on Ori Fidani, and that is a battle for Pro-Am as well. But here comes Staveley. He's been able to make the move here a couple of times. That car is so nimble, Cal.
Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence in that race car. It's a big day for him points-wise. Coming off a strong race one, another good run here going. He's going to reach into that lead of Aurora Straus in the championship.
But right now, the lead margin up front overall is huge at this stage for El Gahanian. And watch now as Staveley comes to that margin, 17 seconds. So that number 71 Marco Polo team and El Gahanian just right now kind of a different planet. But this battle is very compelling.
It really is. Just good pit stop execution by the Marco Polo team. Great pace throughout the course of the race. The car is certainly well suited to this racetrack, and Nikolai's done a great job here this weekend. Fastest lap still belongs to Ryan Eversley at a 54.33 compared to El Gahanian's 54.42.
And here's this battle here as Adam Mirzon. Does he have a problem? Just moved well out of the way of this, but got a tremendous battle unfolding here as Welch up on the back now of, or was on the back of Ori Fidani.
Left rear,
yeah,
maybe something's wrong with that contact, possibly with Kurtz. He's
Harry
feeling something.
Yeah, sorry, Harry Gottsacker has slipped in between and got in between Alex Welch in the number 14, one of the leaders in the points in a couple of the categories. And Ori Fidani
in front of these screens. He's doing a great job. He's another driver visiting these tracks for the very first time. The only track he really has knowledge of is his home track at CTMP. Big battle here down the front straightaway, just trying to give each other enough room. Gottsacker to the inside. Welsh looking for a little bit of a recovery drive here after that spin. Well, not a spin, but an off-course excursion. Taking evasive action on the spinning cars.
I almost thought that Welch, if he'd have followed Harry Gottsacker, he might have been able to trap Ori out on the outside, but opted to go for the other approach at this stage.
Alex Welch, really great partner for this Sprint X Championship with James Safronis. They're good friends. They work together well. Alex really likes to work on the setup of the race car. Big input from him.
Yeah, he's a very, very stout AM driver and a great pairing. You can get a good pro in the car and then a solid AM driver, and certainly Welch fulfills that.
Kind of a poster team, I think, for this Sprint X category.
Yeah, when wherever James has it, when Alex gets in the car, he rarely ever loses much. That's what it's all about. But when he looks here, Toby Grahovic real loose right there as he was trying to cut underneath Kurtz, the 04 Audi right there, in the 92, the orange BMW. And right behind them is that 36. I'll tell you, for having it be basically a complete unknown, John Miller, started by Aurora Straus. Those two have done a superb job with an unknown car, and Pilar was a car that they kind of borrowed last minute.
Guys, they've absolutely done an incredible job at really staying in this race. Aurora, what is going to be the strategy for the rest of the race right now?
Well, right now, John Miller and I have brought the car up from dead last in both classes to, I think we're 5th in class right now, and we're approaching 4th pretty quickly. This couldn't be a bigger deal for us. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned in racing, it's you never, never, never give up. And the fact that we're running in the top 5 right now after having some pretty nasty luck this morning is big for us, and it's big for hopefully a championship effort for the rest of the year. So I'm feeling pretty good, all things considered.
What was your perspective from that wreck this morning?
So it was a racing incident at the end of the day. You know, my car and I got crunched pretty good. But the biggest thing from my point of view from those crashes isn't how you crash, it's how you bounce back from it. And I can't thank BMW and the guys at ST Racing enough for helping coordinate my getting this new car and getting me out on track as quickly as possible. There was a lot of last minute stressful work in the last few hours for all the guys around me right now. Yeah, I owe everything to them. I wouldn't be out there without them right now.
Aurora, thank you so much.
Pretty classy lady, no question, and she's got a quick co-driver in that car right now. And Alex Welch finally getting his nose to the inside of Ori Fidani, and Ori just shutting that door.
No, that was good, hard racing. Or he does not want to give it up. Really impressive drive here. Really feeling his oats right now in terms of competing in this class, finding his feet, finding confidence, putting in a great run.
Hedlund at the back of this queue, it gets a great run through the left-hander, Cal. Tries to get up and alongside the 92 Classic BMW of Grahovic, just can't quite get it. Finally, Welch slides through, and it almost looked like something slowed down on Fidani's car. He just backed up, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's in the wrong gear or whatever, just caught him by surprise. Hedlund is a lap down on these guys with that pit stop.
Kurtz, Gallagher. Gallagher right now. They had a great run in the first race, but it wasn't a lap that was particularly quick that ended up being their fastest lap, so they were kind of mired in the back.
Yeah, not a great day for the guys who are up in second in points. So we talked about the championship contenders in trouble. We are mainly talking about the 14 and the 1, but the 55 had a good first race, not such a great second race here today.
Got a whole group of blended drivers here in terms of classes.
Big problem for the 55, looking at their pit lane delta. Minute 29, Greg. They lost 27 seconds in the pit stop exchange, and that's why they're buried in the pack right now.
Hedlund now gets up and underneath, finally, the ETF Global entry of Grahovic, and he slides through, but as you pointed out, he's down a lap. So he's just out there trying for anything, but he wasn't outside, of points contention for the rest of the season. He was at the back of the top 5, but still in it.
Just got to keep digging.
Yep.
You just can't give up, like Aurora Straus said. The young lady has got it right. You just keep pushing. That's what Mike Hedlund's doing. Look at this, really tight there between Gallagher and Fidani. Fidani's having some great battles out there this afternoon.
And I think Tony Gables was able, he was able to get through. The number 11, the Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro there with the orange and blue highlights on the gray.
Gallagher tries to get the run. Gets to the inside. That was a classy move there by Patrick Gallagher, just really focused on the speed through the uphill. Look at this. Suddenly there's a problem for El Gahanian. He is dropped like a rock right now. He's got a problem. He's lost the lead to Staveley. Keegan's got by. Problems for the crossbow.
Yeah, running well off the pace. Prant's going to come up and underneath him. Or excuse me, the 47 there of Travis is going to get him as well.
We've seen some teams be a little bit light on fuel, but with the length of this caution, that should not be the factor here today. But it was a quick turnaround between sessions. What is wrong with our guy who was going for the sweep?
See if he makes his way toward pit lane. No, he stays out. He's just well off throttle.
Well, there's only 2 minutes to go. You dive down pit lane, you're just going to basically be sitting there when the checkered flag flies. Just hang on for what you can. But it's given the lead to Staveley and a big points day for Ian James and Matt Keegan.
Well, I did hear some comments from down in pit lane that the team of El Gahanian was surprised to see that one Porsche take fuel. And they said, we're really tight too, so maybe.
Yeah, but with the length of that yellow,
you would have thought,
yeah,
certainly.
They should be well inside that window. I'd have to think of something different to that unless they just miscued and topping him up.
Well, they got him to the finish comfortably in that first race, and it was pretty much flat out running. So, well, he's just got to last another lap and a half. Here comes Staveley down the hill now with the overall lead. We expect to see the white flag fly. There it is, 1 to go in round 6 of the GTS Sprint X Championship. Keegan going with him. Keegan has done a very nice job today, hasn't he?
Really great job. Yeah, Ian James is really high on having Keegan as his teammate for this Sprint X competition. Didn't get off to the best of starts at COTA, but certainly has settled in nicely now with the Tom Milner-led Panos team.
And the car third in the queue here is a car that's down a lap. That's Jason Bell. Third place car is actually the 47 of Travis, but way, way back. And Keegan might be making up a little bit of ground. I just don't think he's got enough time, obviously, as they make now the turn up the climbing turn through West Bend. Here we go, Kel, on the downhill. Last apex onto the front straight. Drew Staveley, a player in the GTS-AM Championship in Sprint X competition, comes home with a win. Janetta winning at Lime Rock Park. The Panos sits in second. And at the line, Matt Travis hangs on for third overall, second in the Pro-Am category. Maurice Krantz will be second in the Am category, fourth overall for the Mueller Motorsports team. And what a story. Number one, Andy Pilgrim, from where they were mired, and after the incident in the first race, fifth and third in the overall category. That's not a bad day's work, considering what they had to deal with, huh?
Al Gahaney just dropping like a stone here at the end, just inside the top 10. What a disappointment, but still been a brilliant weekend for him as he finishes ninth.
It has indeed, and as Drew Staveley enjoys his victory lap, we're going to break away for a moment. We'll be right back to hear from our winners. Aurora by 6 points. So he should be leading now. And Drew Staveley brings the number 12 Ian Lacey Racing Janetta down into the pit lane. And it's from there, it's a short hop over to victory circle. But before that happens, of course, we're going to grab him for a second and hear from him. And there you see the crew showing him the number one. And I think that may mean, yeah, buddy, you won this race. And I think it might also well mean you are number one in points right now.
Yeah, there could be a tie, unofficially at least, at 117 with he and Aurora Straus left to wait and clarify that. A lot of confusion here in these last few laps, but it's going to be tight at the end of the day.
It was an eventful race, that long caution period early on, pushing the pit stop window back by 5 minutes. And reading it beautifully, Ian Lacey Racing and Drew Staveley doing it solo. And he put it together, and there's Pilar.
Yeah, guys, I am here with Drew Staveley, an incredible run up to victory. Drew, what were your feelings when you saw the KTM crossbow start to slow down?
Yeah, you know, I don't even remember. I was just every lap, every corner as fast as I could possibly go. That's always my goal. And whatever cars in front of me, I was going to pass him. And yeah, let's had a mechanical because he was way off the pace. So sorry for him. He's running quick all weekend. But huge thanks to my team, my family, my wife, everyone for getting me here. This is awesome.
Congratulations, Drew. Enjoy your victory.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And boy, what a drive he put on here. There's no question about that. Very impressive stuff. Let's take a look at our overall results. And there you can see it was Staveley with the overall win. Keegan James in the, obviously the Panos, then Travis and Hart in the Porsche, Kranz and Castro in another Porsche, and then Pilgrim and Aschenbach. And I think that is a big, big story here, Cal.
It is. Third in Pro-Am, fifth on the road, So that's a nice recovery drive for those guys. But Aurora Straus, Miller, they had a nice run there. Fifth in class, so damage control in terms of the points chase going to be really tight at the end of the day.
And, of course, Staveley wins overall, but he's an AM category driver, so our Pro-Am winner, second overall. And Pilar is with Matt Keegan and Ian James.
Yeah, and boy, are they happy right now. Lots of laughs, lots of smiles. Matt, what was it like just bringing this home today?
It was awesome. Our team, they just worked super hard to get our car ready and gave us a really, really good car. This team is the best team I've ever driven with, and so much heart goes into this. Want to thank Don Panos for giving us this opportunity to run. We want to dedicate this win to him. And we're just super pumped. It's great to bring that home for the team.
Ian, what was it like starting this race for you guys?
It was pretty good, exciting there. I was battling with Colin Bourne and a couple of the other guys. We were nose to tail. I pushed really hard and, put Matt in a good position, but, he brought it home. No mistakes and consistent. Panos back on the podium and first in class, second overall, where we belong.
Congratulations, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'll tell you, they did what they needed to do today, and it's nice to see them back in winner's circle with that great win. Got to remind everybody, our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award, which is for most positions advanced during the course of the entire race, goes to the number 11 Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro of Tony Gaples and Michael Cooper, up 15 spots over the course of the entire race. Well, next up on the championship for the GTS drivers will be the next sprint race, Cal, and that's coming up at Road America from 1.5 miles to 4. Boy, they're going to be stretching their legs.
Yeah, it's totally different, but another classic road circuit, and the next Sprint X round is at Portland. So great championship venues that we visit throughout the year.
Well, we sure appreciate you joining us here at Lime Rock Park. For Calvin and Pilar and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer. In association with WC Vision, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.